delighted to humbly serve as your speaker today. And I give honor to Bishop Darrell K. Williams, as well as the First Lady of this church, for allowing me the opportunity to stand before you to shed some light on our history. I would like to extend a personal thank you to my husband, Ivory Hood, please stand, and my 9-year-old grandson, Michael Williams, and my 14-year-old grandson, Devon Hood.
All right.
Who accompany me here today and whom I consider all treasures from God.
Amen.
I would also like to personally thank some of my other cousins who some are here and some are not, but who also attend this church and have been longtime members of this church for a long time. And those persons are Amy Eccles,
All right.
Denise
Amy.
Phillips,
Yeah.
hey, Denise, her children,
Yeah.
her brother Roosevelt Phillips, Sybil Phillips, and Michi. Also, thanks to each and every one of you in this room for sharing your presence and making this Black History Recognition Program so special. I'm also grateful that the Black History Leadership Society chose to organize today's Black History program because, you know, what they chose to do shows just how progressive they are in their thinking, because only through persistent effort will we be able to honor what our people have done so that our children can be educated about from whence they came.
Amen.
So, in the words of Dr. Margaret Burroughs, who wrote the poem Reflections of an African American Mother, what shall I tell my children who are Black?
Amen.
What shall I tell my children who are Black of what it means to be captive in this dark skin? What shall I tell my dear one, fruit of my womb, of how beautiful they are when everywhere they turn, they are faced with abhorrence of everything that is Black. Villains are Black with Black hearts. A Black cow gives no milk. A Black hen lays no eggs. Bad news comes bordered in Black. Black is evil, and evil is Black. And devil's food cake is Black. What shall I tell my dear ones raised in a white world, a place where white has been made to represent all that is good and pure and fine and decent, where clouds are white and dolls and even heaven surely is white. White place with angels robed in white and cotton candy and ice cream and milk and rumpled Sunday dresses and dream houses and long sleek Cadillacs and angels food cake is white, all white. What can I say therefore when my my 2 grandsons back there come home with tears because a playmate called him Black, big-lipped, flat-nosed, and nappy-headed? What will he think when I dry his tears and whisper, yes, that's true, but no less beautiful, my dear? How shall I lift up their head, get them to square their shoulders and look at their adversaries in the eye, confident of the knowledge of their worth, serene under their sable skin, and proud of their own beauty? What can I do to give them strength that they may come through life's adversities as a whole human being, unwarped and human in a world of biased laws and inhumane practices, that they might survive, and survive they must. For who knows, perhaps these Black children, perhaps many black children, perhaps all black children, bear the genius to discover the cure for cancer, or chart the course for exploration of the universe. So they must survive for the good of all humanity. They must and they will survive. I have drunk deeply of late from the foundation of my black culture, sat at the knee and learned from Mother Africa, discovered the truth of my heritage, the truth so often obscured and omitted, and I find that I have much to say to our black children.
Amen.
I will lift up their heads in proud blackness with the story of their fathers and their father's father. And I shall take them into a way back time of kings and queens who ruled the Nile and measured the stars and discovered the laws of mathematics upon whose backs have been built the wealth of 2 continents. I will tell them this and more, and their heritage shall be their weapon, and their armor will make them strong enough to win any battle they may face. And since this story is often so obscured, I must sacrifice to find it myself for my children, even as I sacrifice to feed, clothe, and shelter them. So this I will do for them if I love them. None will do it for me. I must find the truth of heritage for myself and pass it on to them in years to come. I believe because I have armed them with the truth, my children and my children's children will venerate me, for it is the truth that will make us free. Ladies and gentlemen, as an educator for 30 plus years, a mother, grandmother, I have always passed the truth on to all of my students, regardless of their race, so that they would not be ignorant of the fact that the history of Black people did not come into existence on the auction blocks of Richmond, Charleston, and New Orleans. Our history goes back, way back, to Africa, where the creation took place and where Africans were the first to write, compute, build great buildings, and believe in one God. It is only through persistent effort, like we have going on here with this organization's efforts, that our children will know that our Black men and women have been central to the development of humankind since its inception. Whether one traces humanity's origins back to the biblical Lucy, not the biblical Lucy, I'm sorry to say that, I meant the biblical Adam and Eve, or even if they trace our roots back to the anthropological Lucy, the roots of human existence lead back to where? Africa. And to African men and women. Our Black men and women have been pillars of strength throughout history and have built nations on not one but 2 continents, from the Memphis of Egypt to the Memphis of Tennessee. Our roots lead to our African as well as our African American ancestors. In 1990, ladies and gentlemen, I had the opportunity to go to Egypt with 9 other women. Our travel started in the northern part of Egypt, in the city of Cairo, and ended in the southernmost part, in the city of Aswan, where we had the opportunity to have tea with a Nubian family, the original Egyptians. During our 10 days of travel, we cruised the Nile River, stopping at various cities along the way. During these stops, I noticed that inscribed on many of the well-preserved Egyptian artifacts, pyramids, temples, and tombs are these two words: know thyself. And included were detailed pictures and writings that allowed us to trace our roots. Our Egyptian kinfolk loved their blackness so much that they were kind of picky about the stone that they used for their statues. They consistently chose dark, preferably black stone for the sculptures they made of their leaders. Along with the African countries, Ethiopia and Samaria, they were the first to achieve intellectual greatness. All of mankind, ladies and gentlemen, is indebted to these great people for the knowledge they discovered and passed on to the rest of mankind. Many history texts list Greece as the origin of civilization, but the study of anthropology and the search for buried fossils has proven that the original man is over 4 million years old, and his birthplace is in Africa. His or her story, his or her story, also tells us that Columbus discovered America. But Native Americans will say that they discovered Columbus because they welcomed him ashore. The truth is that Africans who were great travelers and great shipbuilders had been to America over 3,000 years before Columbus. This and other truths about our heritage needs to be passed on to our children from one generation to the next, so that they will know that we inherited phenomenal qualities from phenomenal black men and women back as far as time begins, and those qualities have been passed on from mother and father to daughter, mother and father to son, from generation to generation, so that our insights, so that our faith, so that our wisdom of our elders can give them strength in years to come. Because let the truth be told, for many of us, my brothers and sisters, our very presence here today is a victory. For some of us are here not because of, but in spite of. The statisticians and the odds makers, the magazine writers and the newspaper journalists have written many of us off. They said that we'd never make it this far. They said that we could lift and load, push and pull, cook and clean. They said that we could sing and dance, but that we would never invent and construct, scrutinize and analyze, develop and devise. But here we are. Here we are. We are those who would not be denied. We beat the statistics, outperformed the predictors, outlasted our critics, and disproved the doubters. They thought that we couldn't win, but we finished out front. They thought they had locked us out, but we found the key. They thought we were down, but we rose back up. They said, and we said, and championed, like so many other black men and black women, young and old, who have come from the most backward and discouraging beginnings, but have grown into outstanding examples of achievement in spite of the odds, and served as sources of inspiration to us all. Place her in a wheelchair. Let me test your history knowledge. Place her in a wheelchair, and you have the first African American elected to Texas Senate, Barbara Jordan. Combine them to a prison cell, and you have Malcolm X and Nelson Mandela. Mandela, buried him in the frigid snows of the North Pole, and you have Matthew Henson, raised him in extreme poverty, and he becomes Booker T. Washington. Tear off his roots, and you have Alex Haley. Blind him, and you have Stevie
Wonder.
Allow sexual abuse and rage to savage their bodies, and they become author, poet, and actress Maya
Angelou.
And talk show host, actress, proprietor, producer, and philanthropist Oprah
Winfrey.
Tell her she's too ugly to be an actress, and you have actress Cicely
Tyson.
Tell her she can't write, and you have writer and author Alice
Walker.
There you go, Alice Walker. Force him to the back door, and you have Supreme Court Justice Thurgood
Marshall.
Call him a slow learner, and you have Benjamin.
Franklin.
Benjamin.
What's his name?
Benjamin
Mays.
Spit up on him, and you have a Marcus Garvey. Conceal his history, and you have Carter G. Woodson. Steal his dream, and you have Martin Luther King. Tell them they can't be a two-term president, and you have the 44th, twice elected, first African American, the whole president of the United States, President
Barack Obama.
Ladies and gentlemen, these phenomenal men and women did not realize any limitations, and neither should we. As they toiled with their problems, hope was born. Like many of us in this room, with eyes of faith, they could look beyond their immediate situations, translate hope out of their existing circumstances, and pass that message of hope on to us today. On January 3rd, 1624, William Tucker, the child regarded as the first African American, was born in Virginia. He had his whole family looking out for him. Relatives and extended family provided the necessary tools for William Tucker to become a strong leader. William's village was like a quilt whose love warmed him better than any electric blanket ever could. Like William Tucker, I too come from a strong village that looked out for its own. While growing up, I have consistently relied on the knowledge that there are all these adults who loved me and supported me. They were my warm quilt, providing me with the guidance and role models that helped me explore my world, dream my dreams, and work toward turning those dreams into realities. My village of elders taught me by example. I learned many important lessons watching and listening to them talk. I can recall listening to them toss around expressions like, if you make your bed, you've got to lay in it, or sleep in it. And like the MC said earlier, she said, talked about discipline. A hard head makes a soft behind. Well, I got some of those. They encouraged me to go after my dreams as well. If the front door is locked, go around to the back. If the back door is locked, get in through the window. But most important, once you get in, as a good leader, you yourself must open the door for those following you and help them in.
Amen.
Questions such as, what are you going to do with your life were coming? And my elders, they demanded some real answers. This was not just idle conversation. They really wanted to know that I was on the right track to becoming the best that I could be at home, in school, in church, and in my community. It made me feel really important to know that I had so many adults investing their hopes in my future. My mother was one of the strongest women in my village, and she believed in me even when I didn't or no one else did. She was my first teacher and taught me that education is the key to success. When I thought I wasn't smart enough to learn my ABCs, she told me, I know you can do it. One day, you'll go on to college to get your PhDs. I was almost a non-reader, ladies and gentlemen, up until third grade, until I got this teacher named Mrs. Ida Shepherd, who had just moved to Ypsilanti, Michigan from Georgia. And she was so nice and so patient. I began to learn how to read just right away under her tutelage. But then I went to fourth grade, and that teacher, she wanted to flunk me, because although I could read a little bit, I was not reading at grade level yet. My mother politely let her know, oh no, she'll be going on to fifth grade. When I left eighth grade, I was a C student, and the counselors didn't want to place me in ninth grade college prep courses. But my mother politely let them know, oh no, she'll be taking algebra, French, biology, and college prep English. And you know, because I had seen how my mother stuck her neck out for me, I couldn't let her down. So even after she made us turn the lights out to go to bed, I sneaked and stayed up and continued to study by candlelight. And to my surprise, and I mean I was really surprised, not only to my mother's surprise, who had believed in me all along, I was surprised at myself. I made the Dean's List with a B+ average. Wow, had never seen that before. When I went to 10th grade, my mother tried to enroll me in the school's all-prestigious girls' drum and bugle corps that was comprised of one token black. Now, I had never had a music lesson ever in my life, but she's going to enroll me in this drum and bugle corps. Well, I, along with several other black girls, were denied entry. So my mother, along with several other mothers, complained at a school board meeting. And then, guess what? There I was. I was in the band, learning to play music, even though I had never had a lesson in my life. When I graduated from high school, my mother told me what college I was going to. Now, I had picked out a whole bunch, anywhere away from home, so I could have a little freedom, but oh no, she told me where I was going. She enrolled me, spent the day with me during orientation, and even took me to the music building and told the band director, I want my daughter to be in your marching band. Not again. I immediately had an anxiety attack when he said, well, she can audition in a few minutes. Well, I had never learned to read music. I went to the restroom. I stayed so long that when I returned, he told my mother, she doesn't have to audition, just have her show up on the field tomorrow for practice. Wow. Thank you. I played cymbals by ear, never learned to read music. I played cymbals by ear for the Eastern Michigan University Marching Band for 4 years and received an A every marking period. And as you heard Phyllis say, I eventually graduated from Eastern Michigan University. Well, that's what she was going to say. But anyway, I'll tell you, she didn't. I eventually graduated from Eastern Michigan University and taught for 30 plus years. Long story short, all that I am, all that I ever hope to continue to be, I owe to my mother and the members of my community who invested their hopes in my future. As I draw to a close, I leave each of you this evening with the challenge of discovering ways that you, your family, your church, and other organizations can become involved in planting seeds of hope in our young people. No matter what your circumstances, there is some child that you can help today, even in a small way. The world around us belongs to them, to our children, for they are the ones who will take over its future management. Because let me tell you, by looking at our past, it is clear that our future is still full of both opportunities as well as challenges. And our community, our young people need help. They need help in order to have hope for a better tomorrow. There have been great literary giants like Maya Angelou, and yet we are challenged with still too many African American children who are illiterate and have given up hope of ever succeeding. It is predicted that if a child is not reading proficiently by 4th grade, he or she will have approximately a 78% chance of not catching up, and 2/3 of them will end up in jail or on welfare. In light of this, Michigan has passed a new law for the 2019-2020 school year that will prevent 3rd graders, with certain exceptions, from advancing to 4th grade if they fail to read proficiently. Now, let me share this with you also. There used to be a time when African Americans could drop out of high school and work in one of the big 3 automobile plants and earn $10 to $15 per hour. Anybody remember that? And because of a strong union, could receive adequate medical benefits, vacation days, and a lucrative retirement package. Remember that? That scenario no longer exists, ladies and gentlemen, for teenagers still dropping out in great numbers. We are challenged with the reality that low-skilled jobs have either been eliminated, shipped overseas, or phased out due to the utilization of robots. And a recent study predicts that another 5 million jobs will be lost before 2020 as artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, and other socioeconomic factors replace the need for our children as human workers. Speaking of our children, brings to mind the story I recently read about the Maasai men of Kenya and Tanzania. Whenever one Maasai greets another, they ask a question, Kasirian Injera, an African warrior tribal greeting, which means, and how are the children? The response is typically Sapati Injera, which means all the children are well. Not just my children, not some children, all the children are well. The response is, like I said, given and used by modern Maasai warriors with no children of their own many times. But they give that traditional answer. All the children are well, meaning, of course, that the priorities of protecting the young and powerless are in place. That Maasai society has not forgotten its reason for being and its responsibilities. Well, let me ask you this. Are the children well here in our American society? After spending 30 plus years as an educator, I can answer that. The answer is no. No, they are not. Many are hungry, neglected, abused, and lonely. Many feel like they are stupid, undeserving, unimportant, and disposable. Ladies and gentlemen, when did we as an African American society stop seeing the needs of our children, our future, as a priority for us all? Even if we have no children of our own, somehow we have lost the mentality that it takes a village to raise a child. And the consequences are truly devastating for our community. But there is hope. There is hope, ladies and gentlemen, if we keep moving forward with a purpose. Numerous studies show that children who know who they are and feel good about who they are also do well in school because of their positive self-esteem. Positive self-esteem will come from us continuing to tell our children how beautiful they are as they lift up their heads in proud Blackness with the stories of their fathers and their fathers' fathers that take them back to a time of kings and queens who ruled the Nile and measured the stars and discovered the laws of mathematics, as well as broke their backs to build wealth on not one, but 2 continents. As I take my seat, I take call to the podium just for a few minutes. My grandson, Javon Hood, who is a 9th grader at East Arbor Preparatory High School in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'm treating him like my mother treated me.